Hello friends, and welcome back to r/entitled people. Hope you're all doing fantastic. Today we'll be checking out 3 stories. In the first one, a Karen tries to steal someone's horse straight off the fairgrounds. In the second one, OP's coworker wants her fired because of a dream she had about her. And the last one is about a mother and son framing the father and getting him arrested multiple times. So let's jump in, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet so I can bring you more daily Reddit stories. This post is titled, "Finders Keepers doesn't work for horses, no matter how much you love them." So this was several years ago, but another story made me think about it. I used to show my horses at a local fairground sometimes. Nothing fancy, just some local open shows, mostly western and barrel/pulls. I have a big bay gelding named Dio, who gets a lot of compliments for how striking he looks. He's well known around the other regular show attendants. He's not registered or even purebred, kind of just a horse of unknown, mixed, vaguely quarter horse-ish heritage, so not particularly high dollar, just pretty. He also is the horse equivalent of a golden retriever, absolutely loves everybody, especially if they give him a little attention. While I was in the ring showing another one of my horses, Dio was standing at our trailer in the lot. I had a friend at a trailer nearby that was kind of keeping an eye on him for me, but she was working inside her trailer when supposedly Dio got loose. I came back a bit later as she was stepping out and Dio was nowhere to be found. We asked around and a couple of us spread out around the lot looking for him. No one had called out about a loose horse or seemed to have noticed him. Until my friend and I heard a bit of ruckus a few rows down. Someone struggling to load their horse. See, Dio loves people and he loves food, but he really hates getting into small trailers. First off, he's a big guy and really just doesn't fit that well. And second off, he's always had some issues getting into trailers. We have a procedure and a big roomy trailer, so he loads okay for me. A few rows down from our trailer, a woman and her teenage girl are trying to load this suspiciously familiar big bay gelding into an itty-bitty 2-horse trailer next to another horse, and neither horse was having it. Just when we showed up, Dio yanked back and sort of half-reared up, pulling the rope away from the woman. I say, "Having some trouble loading that horse?" The entitled mom replies, "Oh, he just gets like this, really wound up after showing all day. You know, barrel horses." And I say, "Well, I think it's probably more of a problem of he doesn't load well, especially into strangers' tiny trailers, since he doesn't run barrels." "What? What stranger?" asks entitled mom. And my friend says, "That's her horse that you're trying to steal. I think she'd know better." "What? No, he's ours. We found him." "You found him? At a trailer?" I asked. "No, he was just running around loose, so we caught him." "And how does that make him yours?" I said. Entitled mom, getting huffy, says, "Well, no one was looking for him, so you obviously don't care about him. My daughter loves him and wanted a horse to run barrels on." "Well, your daughter is going to be sorely disappointed because I raised him and care quite a lot about him. And also he doesn't run barrels. He's terrified of them." Entitled daughter says, "I don't care. Jack is the horse I've always wanted. Mom, we have to get him." "Well, fine. How much do you want for him? Is $200 enough?" asked the entitled mom. "He's not for sale, and not named Jack. I'm going to take him back to my trailer now. Bye," I said. Another one of my friends had caught him by now and was handing his rope over to me. I am 100% ready to just walk away from this headache. Entitled daughter says, "No, Mom, you can't let her take Jack away." And the mom says, "No, you're not. Give that horse back to my daughter." "Nope," I responded. There was some more arguing while I walked away. My friend got really fired up and started yelling. Maybe a half hour later, the lady comes storming up to my trailer with some poor deputy in tow and says, "That's him. That's my daughter's horse. She's stealing my daughter's horse." I'll let you imagine the details of that encounter, but supposedly, I had stolen this horse right from their trailer. I showed the cop a handful of pictures of us together on my phone, including one I had from when he was just a foal. And a few of my friends and acquaintances that were nearby and knew me attested that, yeah, Dio is in fact my horse. We also relayed the whole debacle to the officer, and my friend kept insisting we should press charges. Maybe I should have, but I just wanted to load up my horses and go home by then. We also mentioned the other horse, kind of worried it might have been, quote, found, too, and he said he would check on it. The deputy then went off and talked to the woman and her daughter. It didn't look like a fun conversation for him. After a bit, he came back and assured us that the other horse seemed to be theirs. She had pictures. He took down some of my info, and if we wanted to leave, we could. And so we did. Dio walked right into our trailer, with minimal fuss even. A friend of mine that stuck around longer told me later that she'd seen the girl outright sobbing and yelling at her mom. Here's an update. A lot of people say I should have charged her, and yeah, I probably should have. I had a poor understanding of what it meant to charge someone back then, and I assumed it would require me to get a lawyer and go to court and it would get complicated, so I just didn't. I got my horse back unharmed, and Crazy Lady's name and picture spread around a chunk of the horse world. She was banned from any shows at our local fairgrounds, and likely several surrounding ones, and generally labeled persona non grata. Public court found her guilty, and I suppose that'll have to be enough. Yeah, that is kind of disappointing to hear that they didn't press charges on her. I think just simply getting shunned from the horse community isn't nearly enough. She really needs to face legal repercussions for that, cause that's just not cool. And even putting aside the fact that a horse is probably like a family member to a lot of horse owners, I'm sure they're probably very expensive too. I don't know much about horses myself, but I'm sure it's safe to assume that. And here's a short and sweet one. This one's called, "Woman at work dreamt I slept with her husband, and now she wants me fired." Yes, you heard it here first, folks. My coworker dreamt I slept with her husband and wants me to get fired. So last Friday, I noticed my coworker was acting weird around me. Like giving me a dirty look whenever I walked past her, or walking away when I walk up to where she was standing. I finally asked her what was going on, or if I had said or done something to offend her. She then tells me that she dreamt that I was sleeping with her husband, and now she doesn't want to be around me. She even said, "I want you to leave this place to make it easier on me," and that if she could, she would get me fired just so she doesn't have to remember her dream. This post is titled, "Crazy Ex-Wife and Son Frame Poor Father Multiple Times Because He Left." This isn't my story, but one I saw recently reminded me of it. My grandfather was friends with a guy in the 80s that tried to be a good husband and father to his family. But his wife was crazy and his younger son was a complete jerk. The father's wife was absolutely crazy, she was physically and verbally abusive to him, and self-destructive on top of it, and she refused to seek help for any of it, and instead would just pass the blame to say it was all the father's fault, and spread lies about him to anyone who'd listen. And only the elder son ever really sided with him. Eventually the father reached his limit on the abuse from the entitled wife and filed for divorce. During this time, the wife began making up blatant lies and allegations of battery. His youngest son also refused to even be a witness in his defense. This resulted in the wife getting the house and many other things in the divorce. However, she still wasn't done with him. The father moved over 100 miles away with the elder son, who decided to move with him. But the other son, who we'll refer to as Jerk Son, sided with his mother and stayed with her. And the mother would do things to frame the father to make people think he was stalking and beating her. She'd come running out of her house in the middle of the night screaming and saying that father was inside her home and attacking her. She even ransacked the house and beat herself up to make it look more convincing to the police. This made the father get arrested multiple times on charges of assault. However, he was able to prove his alibi a few times because it was a 2-hour drive between his and the wife's house, which resulted in the wife being investigated for her crazy. This finally made her stop. She sadly didn't face many consequences for lying to the police though. And she couldn't have kept it up because the father was making sure to keep track of where he was going as much as he could. Eventually, the elder son moved out to start college. And not long after, the jerk son called his father begging him to let him move in with him because the mother was making him crazy. Jerk son claimed he was sorry for not sticking up for his father during the divorce and wanted to make amends. The father thought this was a chance for him and Jerk son to finally have a better relationship as father and son. And things were great for a year after Jerk son moved in. One evening, however, when the father came home late from work, there were police at his house. Apparently, Jerk son had held a party with other kids from his high school with underage drinking, using alcohol his father had stored in the house. Then he told the police that his father not only arranged the party, but also allowed them access to the booze. To say the father was flabbergasted as police put him in cuffs, yet again, was an understatement. When he asked his son why he'd done this, the jerk son just responded with, "Because you divorced mom." That's right. Jerk son had spent an entire year planning to frame his father, just to take undeserved revenge for leaving his mother. The father was arrested on multiple charges. Police couldn't prove that he orchestrated the party, but couldn't disprove it either, as he was not home for the entire day. So he was hit with a citation and had to go to court to make his case. And shortly after the incident, Jerk's son went running back to his mother. As far as I know, the father pretty much cut contact with them both. But the damage was done. Many people still believed him to be a wife beater that also let his son drink while underage, and it nearly ruined his career. But the father still had a decade of his life ruined by his own family. That is insane, that poor guy. That son is obviously taking a page from his mother's book on trying to ruin his dad's life by framing him. He was really playing a long con too by living with him for a year, acting like he was trying to make amends, just to end up stabbing him in the back. And this was r/entitled people. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, drop a like and subscribe if you want to see more. I'll see you next time. Peace out, everyone.